Okay, perfect. So we're sitting here today with Lynda Sargent, who I just found out now is the associate pastor of Word of Life. But before that, you were a pastor at a church on 12th Street in Rock Island,
Yes,
correct?
Heart of Hope Ministries. We had a church on 12th Street and 12th Avenue in Rock Island.
Okay, is that still a ministry? Because I know that was kind of like its own thing, but does that still exist like as a thing now?
Yes, some friends of mine actually took over the church, Jerome and Cynthia Green. It's
How
called
about
Anchored
that?
in the Lord Ministries now.
Oh wow, that's awesome. That's
Yeah,
awesome. That's still going for sure.
yeah,
That's great. I met you about 2 years ago. I think at an event. Actually, you had an event in down like in that area in Rock Island. Like it was kind of like
yes,
an event where you had like the community and the police kind of like in one space, which was like I thought it was like a powerful event, especially in the time that it was kind of when it was a thing because of just like the animosity or divisiveness between police and like people of color. So that was awesome that was done for sure.
yeah.
Really
Well,
great
it was
event.
really great to have you and some of the guys that came with you. It
Yeah.
was a block party, and we were able to reach out to the community, like you said, with the police officers being there, and then again making a statement of bringing two churches together with different cultures, but unity in the
Yeah.
community.
Yeah, no, you definitely proven just like with kind of like your positions now, like ministry wise, like you're about unity for sure. So that's super
Yeah,
great,
yeah.
super good to hear. So like with what was your introduction to being a part of ministry? Like if you don't mind me asking that, like what was I guess like in a bigger question, what was your introduction to being involved in like church and all that?
As a little girl, my parents both struggled with alcoholism, but they would
Mm.
put me and my two brothers on a bus, and it was a Church of God in Christ bus that picked us up and took us to church in Davenport, Iowa, and that was my first introduction to the Lord
Wow.
at an early age. And then at 12 years old, my grandparents, who later took guardianship of me, they attended Progressive Baptist Church in Davenport, and my grandfather was a deacon there. And so at 12 years old, I had an experience with the Lord and His Holy Spirit that drew me, a very shy, timid young woman, to come to the front and give my life to the Lord.
Mm.
And so it started there, and it's been a journey since then that I surely don't regret.
Yeah, that's awesome. So your experience when you were 12 was that kind of like the catalyst to like be like the okay, I want to be a pastor. Like was that kind of like set everything, or was it just like a lot of life experiences up to that point?
Oh no, I never would have dreamed that I would actually be a pastor or
Yeah.
ministry of any kind, at that age. But there was something that God had placed within me. Even at that age, I remember I got baptized in the Mississippi River at Credit Island, and I was
Mm.
looking for a dove to come down. I really thought that,
Yeah,
I
that
was
literal
going to be
dove.
like Jesus.
Yeah.
And then I thought I'd never sin again, and I remember being so sincere in that. And when I messed up, going in my grandparents' bathroom and lighting a candle, getting on my knees. And so
Yeah.
for me, it was a real deal.
Yeah.
And it was truly an encounter with God that stayed. But there was many, many things in between that before actually getting to the point of being a pastor.
Yeah, no, I would imagine too. Because like you also like I mean you worked you went to college and everything, went to school.
Yeah.
And what did you get a degree in? No.
Accounting from
Accounting.
Augustana. Well, I attended Augustana for 2 years, but I actually graduated from St. Ambrose
Oh, okay.
as a
Yep.
non-traditional student at 33 years old with a family at that point. So I did it the hard way, but I did it.
Hey, you got it done for sure. Like I
Yeah.
went to St. Ambrose as well, so that's like
Uh,
I feel the alumni like spirit
yeah,
sort of in here
yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
The fighting bees. So like with that said, like you worked like a regular job as well as still having kind of this passion to
Yes.
be like a minister and all that.
Yeah, I actually worked it was called Trinity Medical Center at that time for 24 years in the
Wow.
finance department as an accountant. And at 60 years old, because of the call of God on my life to begin or actually minister more freely with with the ministry given me Heart of Hope Ministries, I retired early so I could focus and dedicate my
Wow.
attention to that.
Wow. Okay, so like you worked first and then like when you retired, that's when you kind of just jumped into kind of like the more pastoral kind of like role and everything.
Yeah,
Wow,
actually,
that's awesome.
it was like January 1st, 2009, where I had some friends come over to my home. And I knew from things God had shown me in the past that there was something special I was to do for him. But I just didn't know what, didn't know when. And they came on January 1st, New Year's Day, brought me a little plaque that said, "The will of God will never take you where the grace of God cannot get you." And I thought, well, that's a nice little gift, but I had no idea the significance of that at that time.
Mm-hmm.
But before they left my home, they asked me to pray, and we did. We joined hands and prayed in my living room. And I heard the voice of the Lord say to me, "Launch into the deep." And those were words that I knew, they're not your common words. And so
Yeah.
I recognized the voice of God, and I just said, okay.
Yeah.
And had no clue what that meant, but I knew launch is an action word. So I began getting involved in other ministries with outreach and helping where I could, mentoring ladies and doing what I could. I was active in jail ministry and other things. But then out of frustration with some things, I felt God said to me, "When are you going to do what I called you to do?" Heart of Hope Ministries. And so at that point, I began having people meet in my home. And so we met in my home, and we did that and prayed, people from different backgrounds and cultures and races, and until God opened the doors, and we had an office downtown Rock Island for a year and a half. And after that, we had a building donated to us by a retired physician, and
Wow.
that's where we now operate out of as an outreach center.
Yeah. Wow.
Uh-huh.
That's crazy. Like,
Yeah.
just the fact that you had this, like, a physician, like, donated this, like, building to you guys and kind of just said, like, whatever, like, you do with it, or...
Yeah, the physician, God literally ordered my footsteps. I really have seen where he will do that. When he wants something to happen, he will order your footsteps in. So I was actually 2 years prior to receiving the building, he had me write a letter to the physician who had been my grandmother's doctor. The building, I'd gone through it twice with the real estate agents, and it's located at 19th Street and 9th Avenue in Rock Island, a beautiful brick building. And so it was on the market. And so 2 years prior to it actually becoming Heart of Hope's Outreach Center, the Lord had me write a letter to the physician asking him if he might donate it to us because we were a 501c3 organization or sell it at a reduced price. He wasn't interested at that time. But I took a lady that I'd met through jail ministry years earlier to Robert Young Center to see about having her admitted for long-term drug treatment. And so as I'm leaving, because I had worked at the hospital, the property manager sees me, and again, God literally ordering my footsteps. I run into her outside, and she asked me if we have a building yet, because she'd already given me over 150 pieces of furniture, which were in my basement, in my garage, in my back porch, and I'd given to other ministries.
Yeah.
And so God had provided the furniture even before the building.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I tell her, no, we don't have a building yet. And so 2 weeks later, after that encounter, the doctor decides he's ready to donate the property. So he contacts the hospital where he had worked, and they aren't interested. But she mentions to him, if you're interested in donating your property, you might want to talk to Lynda Sargent at Heart of Hope Ministries. So she gives him my phone number and my cell phone, and I'm walking at Sunset Park, and I get a phone call from a doctor, Myron Fields, and meet with him the next day. We go through the building, and he says in this waiting room there were prostitutes sitting next to nuns, and I just want people to be treated, fairly and decently with respect. I tell him we're black, we're white, we're Hispanic, and that's our goal too. And so he says, well, now you're getting ready to get a building from a Jew. And so a week later he comes in and meets with me, hands me the keys, and says I'm on my way to Italy for a month. And so we've been there now at 1749th Avenue, serving people with a food pantry, clothing ministry, youth programs, and other things that we can.
That's awesome. Wow. That's so great. And this is like where you had like you held your pastoral role at as well, right?
The pastoral role did not come until later. Again, meeting with the same group of people that started in my home. And over time, it became evident because of the vision God had given us for restoration of the West End neighborhood of Rock Island based on Isaiah 61 and some of the things that we believe God wanted accomplished. I believe that there'll be other buildings, and these buildings are going to be homes of refuge. They're going to be buildings that are going to supply jobs for people that may have been incarcerated or have records. I believe from the vision God gave me that there's going to be a restoration of neighborhoods that have been desolated and a rebuilding and restoring of a community that's lost hope. And young men that are selling drugs are going to have value and have whatever's needed, and young women that may be prostituting themselves. But there's much more to the vision that God gave me. So in pursuit of that, then several years ago, a pastor came from Aurora, Illinois, and ordained me as a pastor, did training with me, and we launched the church, Heart of Hope Church then at that point. And so then we were a church then for about 3 years before we merged with Word of Life.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So I didn't even know that you were like so invested in the community where you've worked with you've worked with people who are like in the prison system, like women in the prison system as well, like you said, and
yes,
people like drug addicts as well. Like how how do most of those encounters come with like these people and all that? Like how do you like meet them, or like how do they allow you to come in their lives?
Well, it's like God literally ordering your footsteps. Like, you don't get up one morning and say, I'm going to do this or that. But when you're, again, going back to that little plaque that said that the will of God will never take you where the grace of God cannot keep you, he literally would bring things to me at the time that it was time for that. And so it's just being caught up in his will. And as you just do what you do with what's in your hands right now, then those things come to you. I became a part of an organization called Quad City Advocates for Second Chances, which includes the Safer Foundation, and work with people through that, and referrals, and people that are being released from prison and may just have the clothes on their backs, and being able to get clothing for them, and and provide just a hand up. We've had stories where I had a gentleman who was had been incarcerated 7 years and got out, got referred to us, and came in. He was a large gentleman and needed a 4X, so we didn't have many clothes for him, but he kept coming back just to have a place to hang out. And we have 3 gentlemen that come through the week and help. One which is my brother, and so he just come and sit and have coffee with them. It gave him an environment apart from the environment where he might have went back into the lifestyle that got him in jail. And so he began helping with our food pantry pickups from Riverbend Food Bank. He'd help with cleaning the building. He'd help with cutting the grass, whatever was needed. And so as he went over there with us, then he got a job, and he now works there for Riverbend Food Bank. He about a year ago got his CDL license and drives one of their big trucks, and doing well. And so wonderful to have success stories like that.
Yeah.
Where in the first 2 weeks his vehicle was broken down. He wasn't able to get to work, but I developed a relationship with him that I could tell him to take our van, and so he could get to work. And so to be able to just offer a hand of hope to somebody that just needs it, and to see them now succeed in life. Yeah.
Wow. Is it ever surprising for these people who kind of get out and get out of prison and have these hard times? Is it super surprising for them that somebody from the church reaches out to them? I say that just because a lot of people have that viewpoint of the church being a place that doesn't care about the social issues and all that, but you prove that that's completely wrong. You're wholly invested in the social issues of community and all that. So it's never surprising that's like people are like, why would you help me? Like so much in that. Like, have you ever had like a response like with people with that?
Yeah. I think that that's it. To me, the church is really where people should encounter love, and often that doesn't happen. It becomes a social club that people go to and form cliques, and so those are things that I really have always not wanted to happen and to be a part of. If I wanted to be a social club, then I can go join a bowling team or something. But I want people to encounter the genuine love of God, whether they're at the church or whether they're at our outreach center. So we have people that come into our outreach center that, we may be putting a pair of shoes on their feet, or we may be giving them a bag of groceries, but we're also giving them a smile. We're also helping them to their cars. I had an African lady come in Thursday night and a baby strapped to her back, and she had a large bag of clothing that she was able to get from our clothing ministry, probably 8 to 10 bags of food, because we have lots of fresh produce. We have pizzas from Little Caesars. We have bread items from Hy-Vee. And so anyway, found out she was going to walk home, and it was from our pantry on 19th Street and 9th Avenue all the way to Lincoln Homes by the Martin Luther King Center, with a baby on her back, a big garbage bag full of clothes, and all these grocery bags. So, I just said, get in my car, I'm taking you home. And so then she came back later and brought her mother and another elderly lady and, 2 other gentlemen. But I thank God for allowing us to be able to do more. And we want to do more. We want to be able to not just give them a loaf of bread, but we want to be able to instill some values and to provide some sources of income. Our main goal, we want to see how wonderful it would be to have properties located in those neighborhoods where we can go in and we can train young men that may not have skills and may not even know how to read and write, but to be able to teach them how, to become carpenters, or to be a painter, or to be able to clean carpet or paint, or whatever is needed. Give them a value, and then see a whole community begin to have hope again, have value. I think that's been stripped from a lot of areas in our community, and we want to restore that. I'm a firm believer, and I've seen it happen, just coming alongside somebody and saying to them, you can do it. And I've seen people, like a light come on, and I've seen them succeed in a place of darkness.
Yeah. I don't know how profound, like everything you said it was. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
It's definitely resonating with me.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for all of that. It's good to hear about everything you're doing.
It's our pleasure. Yeah, that's what we are, servants of the Lord. And so
you're definitely doing it.
Yeah.
Thank you again, Lynda, for coming in.
All right. Well, thank you.
That's amazing. Yeah.